Hi, my name is Jerry Soukal. I'm the owner of 3 Can Ranch, and so I lease horses out to summer camps, and I also have a lesson program and offer trail riding and boarding. So I grew up on the south side of Chicago, kind of close to Midway Airport, and I always thought horses were super cool, and it was actually at this summer camp that I fell in love with horses. I came here as a Boy Scout, and I went on a trail ride, and I kind of got hooked ever since. So after I went home, I wanted to ride all year round, so my parents helped me find a couple of barns that I would work out labor for riding time, and every year I kept coming back to the same summer camp, and now here I am today with all of my horses here.
And how many horses do you have, Jer?
So here we have 14.
And how about your ranch?
So at home at my ranch, I probably have another 13 or 14 as well.
So you always loved animals, and you had a bunch of pets. I remember you as a kid, you had snakes and everything, and so it just blossomed, and you would go to the feed store, right? And pick up like chickens and turkeys and stuff.
Yep, was notorious for going to the feed store without my parents' permission and bringing home turkeys and ducks and rabbits and all kinds of things. So yeah, I would have every animal under the sun you can think of.
So, but making a leap from, bringing up ducks and turkeys to horses, what was the adjustment you had there? Tell us about your first horse and how you had to adjust to that.
So my first horse was really fun and interesting. I learned a lot. I started out shareboarding horses before I bought my own horse, so I would pay people to let me kind of like lease their horse. And then when I bought my first horse, she was not broke because I couldn't afford a broke horse at the time. I was a college student, so I bought one that could kind of train up from the ground up and all that stuff. And I still have her now. Love her. She's my main competition horse. So, but yeah, and then it kind of just kept escalating from there, getting more horses. And I only had 2 at the time before I started doing all of this. And when the camp needed someone to supply them horses, it was kind of like okay, we'll do it type of a deal.
So with all that you learned volunteering your time, when you were a kid, was there still a great learning curve to owning?
Oh yeah, and it was quite different. So I grew up competing. I worked with a couple of different trainers growing up, and it's different owning like one performance horse versus a whole different type of lesson program and boarding facility, and also like camp horses. It's very different.
Yeah.
Growing up, and you need totally different types of horses. So it's pretty unique.
What are some things that you think are the biggest mistakes of people who fall in love with horses and say, I want to buy one?
I would say getting them too fast. They kind of rush into it and they get a horse and they don't know a whole lot. I would say start with like lots of lessons first, and try to find a lesson program that helps you own a horse, not just ride a horse. You want to learn the basics on, okay, what are you looking at when you're looking at feet? What are you looking at when you're looking at body conditions, and when you're looking at conformation? Like, you want to make sure you're overall going to be able to take care of a horse and not just ride it. So. Alright, so this is Keller. She is, I call her our blind bandit because she's blind in her left eye. So you can see there, it's kind of just white. The vet thinks it was more like traumatic injury, so she probably ran into a tree or something like that, like a tree branch. But it doesn't bother her, so the vet said there's no need to remove it. But we call her the blind bandit because she will steal your heart, because she is just the sweetest horse. Out of all the horses I've ever owned or trail barns I've ever worked at, she's probably the most safe trail horse I've ever experienced in my entire life. So she's one of the ones that we will put like teeny tiny little kids or people if they have special needs on, and she just definitely takes care of them. So she's a very nice lady. this is Goose. She is another one of our like fabulous kids horses. She's just a great walking around, trotting around horse, very easy going. She definitely takes care of the little ones, so she's a doll. But we actually got her from Texas and brought her up to Illinois and then moved back down to Texas, and she's followed us quite a few places, so she's a cool horse.
How is the climate of Texas for horses? Is it tough on them when it gets, you guys have had a stretch of 100-degree days.
Super hot, yeah. They're usually trying to get shade, and we have a lot of like round bales that are under shaded spots, so either man-made structures or under some trees, so it's a little bit more shaded for them. But we also have like tons of pasture space, so they can kind of venture where they want to. But yeah, it's definitely a little trickier. Like here, you can pretty much ride almost any time of the day, but right now back home, we got to ride early in the morning or late in the evening under some lights. So definitely a little trickier, but overall they don't mind it. So.
It's kind of how people live in Texas. You get up in the morning or at night. It cools down considerably in Texas.
Yeah, it gets much better. Yeah. Once the sun goes down, it's much better. Alright, so this is Daphne. She is one of our rescue horses that we had a while ago. When we got her, she was really skinny, and she kept getting weight, and we were all excited that, hey, she's gaining weight and looking really good. And then one day we were kind of petting her just how I'm petting her now, and I was like, oh, hay bellies don't kick. So Daphne had a very nice surprise for us when we got her, and she had an awesome little baby. So her baby looks just like her. And one day her baby will be coming to camp. So her baby's back in my house still, and once she's old enough, she'll come and work alongside her mama. This is Drip. Drip is one of our older horses. She's a rescue. She's about 17 years old, the vet thinks. We got her, she was actually going to be sent to a kill pen. Actually, she was in a kill pen, and we got her a few days before she was shipped to Mexico, and we rescued her, and she was just the sweetest thing. So we've had her for probably about 8 months now, and no, not that long. I'd say probably closer to the 6 months. And she went from looking very rough to just being super gentle. It's kind of like one of those things where she kind of knew she was saved, and she's been an awesome kids horse since we got her.
Now, what you talk? Was she abused?
We don't know really her backstory. She was actually used to make babies, so they used her for having baby horses, like they call it a broodmare. So she was used as a broodmare, and they just didn't want her anymore. I'm assuming she just got too old for them, and so they just sent her to the kill pen, and she was there, and we saw her, and she just seemed super gentle, so we just kind of took her back from there. So.
All right, Daphne almost knocked me down here. Hold on a second.
All right, so this is Rose. She has a kind of similar story to Daphne. We rescued her, but she was completely feral when I rescued her. Like, we couldn't touch her. I had her for about 2 months before I could even go up to her. And then she also had a baby in her oven, so we have that baby at home as well, so eventually that baby will be coming to camp. And then I broke Rose out, and she's just been the most gentle, easygoing horse, and so she came to camp, and they absolutely loved her. So she's about 4.5 right now, so she's a good girl. We've had her for about 2 years. This is Rusty. He's one of our bigger camp horses, as you can see, and he knows it. He's large and in charge. He's probably our most dominant horse here, him and the horse behind him. And then the other little horse over there, she just kind of hangs out with them. She thinks they're cool and they like her. So, but he's a really good boy. He used to show in ranch riding classes and some Western pleasure classes back in his heyday. But now he's just a great old camp horse, and he's used for some of the older scouts that come here, or even some of the dads that come here, because dads can come here too, mom and dad. So it's not just for kids, but he takes good of pretty much anybody and everyone. Alright, this is Penny. She's a great camp horse. She's been here for a couple of years. She's an old Western pleasure horse, so she used to show in Western pleasure classes back in her heyday. But now she's just living up to camp life, so she's doing a good job. She loves her job, and she's great for beginners, and she's very well broke, and she's a good horse. This is Minnie. She's one that we also got from Texas and then brought up to Illinois and then brought back down from Texas. She's a phenomenal trail horse. I even used her in my lesson program for a while back when we lived in Illinois and then when we moved to Texas. And she's an overall fabulous horse. So she's been a great part of our program for a long time.
Jerry, when you talk about, there's an entertainment quality to having going horseback riding and whatnot. Is there also a therapeutic use for him?
Absolutely. So it's very therapeutic. It's very relaxing. It does kind of take a lot of the stress away from things. It's very, very therapeutic for people to be not only riding, but just being around them. They're very cool animals, and they're very in tune to your senses, and they're definitely very therapeutic.
Yeah, I think when kids get around an animal that's this big and then they're gentle and they're sweet, they can relate to that. They're looking for that in life.
Mm-hmm. They certainly can.
Who could be afraid of you? So this is a dream that you followed. Did it at any point seem impossible for you?
Yes, very often actually. It's a very difficult thing to do. Very, very difficult, especially now living so far away. For a while we almost closed because it was just so difficult. But thanks to some very awesome people that work at this camp and have worked at this camp, we were to help be able to find ways to stay open. Just to be able to provide this experience for the next generation of campers and stuff like that. So it definitely takes a village.
And what does it take to follow a dream like that? When people hear this, a city kid and he's gonna have a horse farm, there's got to be people that say, "Oh, Jer, just stick to your day job. What are you doing?"
There's been lots of that. There's been definitely lots of that, and it was definitely very hard. But I mean, one thing that I do learn is it took a lot of patience. It did not come overnight. It took a very, very long time. And like I said, I grew up riding here as a little kid when I was a camper here. And then I worked here for 8 years. And I always thought it would be super cool to one day be the vendor that supplied this place with horses. And then eventually I became that person. So it also was very nice following in the footsteps of another person that had good horses here. She stopped supplying. She retired from this camp in 2020. Knew that COVID happened, so she had an awesome herd of horses, and she's been one of the people that have helped me out in this process of getting started. So it definitely was having good resources and having friends and family to help back up and help you support your dream.
Yeah, surround yourself with supporters.
Absolutely.
That's it. Jared, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.